All right, let's just jump right into this. We're talking about a city that by every single rule we know just shouldn't exist. A massive, sprawling stone metropolis built in a place that completely defies logic. This is the story of Nan Model, a giant puzzle sitting in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that challenges, well, pretty much everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. So to really get a handle on the scale here, let's start with the sheer weight of it all. The total amount of stone they used is estimated to be around 750,000 metric tons. I mean, think about it. The builders of the Great Pyramid of Giza had these huge, solid deserts to work on, and even they used less stone than what we see here. It's just staggering. And this is where the story goes from impressive to absolutely mind-bending. They didn't build this on solid ground. Oh no, they built this entire city on top of a living, fragile coral reef in the middle of the ocean. It's an engineering project that, even by our modern standards, seems completely impossible. And that, right there, is the one-word question that has stumped historians, engineers, you name it, for centuries. How? How on earth did an ancient society with a pretty small population and what we'd call limited tech pull this off? Honestly, that single question is what makes Nan Model one of the greatest mysteries on the planet. Okay, so let's get our bearings. This place has two totally different reputations. You see, to outsiders, its amazing network of canals earned it this romantic nickname, the Venice of the Pacific. But for the people who actually live nearby, its eerie silence and mysterious past have given it a much, much darker name: the City of Ghosts. So here's the layout. Namdol is this huge complex made up of 92 artificial islands, all built by hand, piece by piece, and linked together by a web of canals. The walls, which are made of these massive stone logs, soar up to 25 feet high. And let me be clear, this is not some primitive hut. The precision, the scale, the engineering is absolutely world-class, right up there with the most famous wonders of the ancient world. But the construction itself is only half the puzzle. Now we gotta talk about the location, because it makes zero sense. Seriously, why would you choose to build your capital city in a place that seems like it's actively trying to make your life impossible? And this really lays out the whole problem perfectly. Out on the reef, where they built Nan Model, there was no fresh water. There was no soil to grow food. Meanwhile, the main island of Pompeii, just a short trip away, had everything they needed. So every single thing, food, water, even the wood to cook with, had to be brought in by canoe every single day. It must have been an absolute logistical nightmare. And that's the key, right? This wasn't some kind of mistake. This choice was completely deliberate. They willingly took on all these hardships, which can only mean that being isolated out there on the water was absolutely essential to whatever the city's purpose was. But what purpose could possibly be worth that kind of struggle? Well, whatever the reason was, it's been lost to time. Okay, so if you thought the location was baffling, just wait. The actual building blocks of the city are even crazier. This is where the whole mystery goes from being a logistical puzzle to something that seems to defy the laws of physics. The real problem isn't just where they built it, but what they built it with. The city is made out of this incredible stuff called columnar basalt. They're these amazing, naturally formed hexagonal logs of volcanic rock. And get this, geologists have confirmed that they weren't quarried anywhere nearby. The source was a volcanic plug on the complete opposite side of the main island. And we're not talking about little pebbles here. Some of these individual basalt logs weigh up to 50 tons each. Just wrap your head around that for a second. 50 tons, quarried on one side of a mountainous, jungle-covered island, then somehow moved miles overland and across the sea to the reef. You know, to put that into perspective for you, a single 50-ton stone weighs about as much as a modern commercial airliner, like a Boeing 737. Now, imagine trying to move that without a single piece of modern machinery. And here's the real kicker. According to all the evidence we have, the builders of Nan Model had none, and I mean none, of the tools we would think are essential for something like this. No metal to cut or shape the stone, no wheels for transport, no pulleys for lifting. They just stacked the stones, using their own incredible weight to hold everything together. How? So this is where we're at. The story kind of splits into two paths. On one side, you've got the laws of physics as we know them. And on the other, you have local legends. And right now, Frankly, science is having a really hard time explaining how any of this was physically possible. And believe me, it is not for a lack of trying. Modern research teams have actually tried to replicate the process. They've built these huge bamboo rafts, tried to float the stones across the water, but a 50-ton log just sinks them every time. Every practical attempt, even with our modern understanding of engineering, has ended in total failure. So with science basically throwing its hands up in the air, the only explanation left comes from Pohnpeian legend. The local stories say the city was built by twin sorcerers, two brothers named Olasopa and Olasipa. And the legend says they didn't carry or drag the stones at all. They made them fly through the air and into place using a magical song.
Okay, let's just put aside the impossible how for a minute and ask another question. Why? Why go through all this trouble? Because it turns out the purpose of Nanmadol might be just as strange as how it was built.
While the most convincing theory is that Nan model was actually a tool of control. It was built by a dynasty of pretty tyrannical rulers called the Soldalers. And the theory goes that they forced all the rival chiefs and their families to live there, on the reef. And once there, they were isolated from their people, cut off from their land, and totally dependent on the king for food and water. There is no way you could plan a rebellion from there. It was, for all intents and purposes, a beautiful golden prison. And just when you think this story can't possibly get any weirder, it does. Researchers have found that some of the basalt logs in the city are naturally magnetized. If you bring a compass near these specific stones, it just spins wildly out of control. So, was this an intentional choice? Did the builders seek out these stones with strange properties to add to the city's power and mystery? Or is it just another bizarre coincidence? We just don't know.
In the end, even this incredibly elaborate system of control couldn't last forever. The Sodalar dynasty was eventually overthrown by an invader. After that, the city was abandoned, and for centuries, it was considered a taboo place, haunted by the spirits of its past. When European explorers first showed up, they found it completely empty, just a silent ghost city rising out of the waves.
Nan Mandal stands today as this silent monument to a people who somehow achieved the impossible. It forces us to look at the limits of our own knowledge and ask a pretty humbling question. If a place like this can exist, a place that breaks our entire understanding of history and physics, what other incredible secrets from our ancient past are still out there, just waiting to be discovered?